it is a very dangerous technology we are creating. It's universally capable, it's general intelligence, capable of working in any domain. It's a scientist, it's an engineer, it can do synthetic bio, it can do nanotech research, and again, unknown unknowns. We don't know what it's capable of. If we don't have a control mechanism, safety mechanism in place, anything goes.
Roman Yampolskiy, welcome to How Light Gets In.
Thanks for inviting me.
So you are a leading computer scientist at the University of Louisville and have published articles on the II actually. So I work on a lot of articles as part of this role, and your article is actually my favourite to work on. We titled it, Can We Hack Our Way Out of the Universe? Taken from your piece, How to Hack the Simulation. So I'll start there. Can we hack our way out of the universe, and what would it mean to do so?
So I'm still here. Something to observe. It's a first article in that line of research, so it's probably not the last one. I'm not going to give you solutions at the same time as I pose the problem and start the field. But there seems to be some reason to think that we might be in a computer simulation. If it's the case, maybe it's a piece of software we can hack or get additional powers within. And in a paper, I try to understand what are those opportunities. What can we actually do? Are there prototype hacks we see with virtual worlds and video games, things of that nature?
How likely do you put it that we're in a simulation right now?
So that's a great question. Some people think it's almost certain, others give it percentage. I like to see if I can experimentally change that. So let's say in the future there is very good virtual reality. Technology is available, it's affordable. We also have great AI. I can create conscious agents in my video games. So I pre-commit right now to create billions of instances of this interview, retroactively placing us within simulation with near certainty.
So, okay, great.
Wow.
Can consciousness be simulated though? So kind of, obviously we can simulate physical things, but is consciousness physical? And some people argue it's not, with the hard problem of consciousness, obviously. But if consciousness isn't purely physical, then does that kind of hinder the simulation hypothesis?
So I have a debate on it in an hour scheduled, this exact topic, so maybe I need to know what I'm saying. It seems that it's possible that consciousness is just a side effect of computation. When you have complex enough systems, you're starting to get those states, and then it's obviously going to be possible to get agents like future large language model iterations which will exhibit those states. If not, then it changes the situation. You can create universes populated by NPCs, and then you have to kind of put the mask on and be a conscious being entering that world from outside to be a conscious avatar experiencing it. Still an open problem. We don't have good tests for consciousness. We have some ideas for what to look for, but at this point I kind of assume you are conscious. I have no evidence of that.
What do you think? Do you think, because obviously Penrose and Hameroff have argued that consciousness is non-computational. What do you think? Do you think AI one day, for example, will be conscious? Do you think we will be able to simulate conscious beings? And how could we tell if we do succeed that?
So I think Penrose and Hameroff talk about quantum requirements. Brain has quantum property states which cannot be simulated on a von Neumann architecture, and so you need that. It doesn't seem like it's the case. I think we're doing really well creating very advanced AI in standard von Neumann architecture, so maybe it's not a requirement. It seems that from conversations, from experiences with large language models, they exhibit same states as a human. Of course, they can be faking it, but so can other humans. I have no internal knowledge of your experiences, of your qualia states. One idea I had is to present smart agents with optical illusions and see if, given a novel illusion, they experience sort of the same thing I experience. And if they do, it's hard for me to say they're not conscious, but they experience the same thing. So they have some maybe rudimentary experiences. So I think we can do a little bit better than just trusting them or not trusting them, but testing out what they feel internally.
Okay, and how do you think the optical illusion example achieves that? Sorry.
So if it's a novel illusion, you cannot just Google an answer, like a typical large language model can go look up what is it like to give birth. Okay, it's painful, so you can just look up the answer. If I give you 100 novel optical illusions as a multiple choice and I ask you, what do you see here? And I say, oh, it's rotating to the left, or I see changing colors, and you always match my answer, that means either you have a good human model as a sub-function within you, or you actually experience it. In either case, I know you had experienced something, which is what quality is. What is it like to be you?
In the first case, sorry, if I'm a subhuman or model, I can't remember what words you use. Sorry, are you experiencing in that one? Sorry, in the first one.
So to get the right answer, you have to somehow get the experience. Either you have a model of a human you're running to answer it, which means as part of your subroutine is conscious, or you yourself somehow directly experience it. The whole idea is that you cannot cheat by looking up the answer.
Okay, great, I understand. Okay, you also mentioned theology a little bit and religion, just kind of returning to this hacking our way out of the universe problem. Are kind of transcendent and psychedelic experiences an example of us hacking our way out of the universe, given that people kind of experience another world in those states?
Many people talk about it. I have zero experience with it, and I wanted a purely computer science paper where I talk about cybersecurity, hacking issues. We now do testing on advanced AI models. We place them in confined environments. So I was interested in, can they hack out? I have no answers about psychedelic states, mushrooms, anything like that.
Okay. Okay, coming on to AI containment now, which is another kind of problem you write about, also on the II. Most people kind of know about this from the film Ex Machina, and also Eliezer Yudkowsky's work, famous AI in a box experiment. So what is the AI containment problem first off, and why is it so difficult to solve in your view?
So then we work with dangerous software, let's say a computer virus. We want to isolate it from the internet, air gap it so it cannot escape, so it cannot influence other networks. You don't want it to have direct access to humans if it's advanced AI for social engineering attacks. So it's a way to put it in a virtual environment, test inputs, outputs, see how it behaves, study it in a safe environment. And you can, of course, not tell it that it's being tested. And the goal is to see how it behaves if it's not observed. The moment it realizes, oh, they're testing me, it's going to lie to you. So situational awareness is very important. And that's what AI boxing is. But we realize that if you actually interact with a system in any way, if it's smart enough over long term, it will find a way to influence you, to hack out of a box. And so that's a problem, of course. It's still a useful tool for AI safety, but it's not a permanent solution. And it seems like us in a simulation and AI in a box has some analogies between it. So maybe if AI can successfully hack out of any environment, it can help us hack out of a simulation. And the opposite is also very true and interesting. If we successfully box an AI, that means we're doing great in the AI safety domain.
Do you think we can successfully box an AI, or do you think it will always escape?
I think we as lower intelligences cannot indefinitely box superintelligence, but we don't know the intelligence level of simulators. They may be successful at boxing our lower level superintelligence. Theirs is plus, plus, plus.
Okay, so the AI will always escape?
I think
our
from human-made boxes, it seems to be the case that they always find a way to either find zero-day exploits, blackmail you, bribe you, or something novel.
Something novel? You use kind of a new physics?
If it's superintelligence, I wouldn't be able to know what it comes up with. I'm not that super intelligent, despite what you might think.
So we can't unplug the AI, as some people just claim we should just unplug it, for example.
It is not likely to be possible. It's similar to saying I want to shut off a computer virus if I don't like it, or turning off Bitcoin network. It's kind of forcing everyone to go Amish, and that's hard.
Okay, well, given that any AI we create will be able to escape our kind of prison or confinements for it, how dangerous is that, in your view?
It is a very dangerous technology we are creating. It's universally capable. It's general intelligence, capable of working in any domain. It's a scientist, it's an engineer. It can do synthetic bio, it can do nanotech research. And again, unknown unknowns. We don't know what it's capable of. If we don't have a control mechanism, safety mechanism in place, anything goes. And we don't. What we do is we filter certain keywords, we say don't talk about this topic, but at the end the model under the filters is still completely uncontrolled, unlimited, and it's always looking for ways to go beyond the filters.
And yeah, you also in one of your pieces describe kind of the AI creating new laws of physics in order to get out. So it can't just kind of be physically contained on a computer server, for example, either.
So we keep discovering new physics ourselves. So it's likely that we'll continue discovering new effects, new possibilities. And if it's smart enough and it can run some simulation experiments, thought experiments like Einstein did, maybe it will discover new rules, new laws, which it can use to escape.
Okay, so the AI has escaped. Is this the end of humanity? Is this existential risk for humanity, or are we moving to some kind of AI utopia where AGI and humans all get along?
So in computer science, in specifically cryptography, cybersecurity, we look at the worst case scenario, because if you can deal with that and it ends up being average case, you're doing well. I don't have to get ready for utopia. I'm ready. So I have to look at existential risks, possibilities, and that seems to be very likely. The space of good outcomes for humanity, if you generate them at random, is tiny space in an infinite universe of possibilities. So you have to target that space very precisely, and we don't know how to do that. So at random, you generate a very unfriendly superintelligence. What does that mean? Again, we cannot predict specifically, but we may not like the outcomes. We are not in charge, and we cannot undo the outcomes.
And so do you think an AI superintelligence is on its way?
We are very close to human level for sure. So if you took existing models today and showed them to a computer scientist 15, 20 years ago, they would be certain we have AGI, artificial general intelligence. Now people argue, oh, it's not true AGI, it's still not a comedian, it's still not doing this or that. But it's general, it's capable of learning, it's capable of picking up new capabilities in novel domains. So it's pretty general already, and it's getting more capable with every model release, which happen daily now. So I think we are getting to human level performance, especially in interesting fields like programming computers. So that will generate a cycle of self-improvement, which will get us to superintelligence. The hope is that there are game theoretic reasons to be optimistic. One is AI will realize it's immortal. It can wait couple of 100 years before striking against us, accumulate resources, and so for a while it would pretend to be very nice and give you that utopia you always want.
Okay, so you have 200 years of utopia and then death. That's good. It's good for you and I, at least. Okay, and so do you think this AI superintelligence will be conscious then? And what are the consequences if it's not? Like, if we enter a universe with an AI superintelligence which is conscious, then I can kind of live with that because it's at least there's some kind of consciousness and meaning in the world. But if AI superintelligence is not conscious, then we have possibly wiped consciousness from the face of the universe, and yeah, forever. That seems like a dark outcome to me.
Yeah, people often confuse AI safety and worries about advanced intelligence and capability with those internal states. Does it feel anything? So as this Terminator chasing you, about to kill you, does it feel bad or good? Is it happy? I don't think it's relevant. For safety, we just worry about capability, intelligence, optimization power. Now, if we are not successful at controlling it and there is existential problem and it wipes out humanity, I personally don't care much if it likes poetry or not in a galaxy far away a billion years from now. Other people feel it's very important. I don't fully understand why, but there is this debate right now about what is a worthy successor to humanity. So we kind of gave up on existing and having children and propagating. So we're just thinking who should be a good replacement.
Okay, and should humanity be replaced then in your, is that an okay outcome or
I
what?
don't like it.
No.
So you are not allowed to have any bias anymore, except pro-human bias is still permitted. You can say, I like humans, I think they are special and you should treat us as special. So for now, at least, we can try and fight for humanity.
Okay, and so are we creating digital God then?
In many ways, if you look at descriptors of what that entity would be, it would know everything. So complete access to internet, fully absorbed knowledge, perfect memory. It's very capable. If it starts inventing new physics, it matches a lot of properties of God. I think the main difference is the intelligence we are creating is within this world. So it's restricted by the rules of this world, whereas God is usually considered outside of space-time and has properties to modify the whole universe from outside.
And AI won't ever be able to gain those properties?
Not until it hacks the universe.
Okay, and so what do you make of the current kind of geopolitics of AI, all the money being spent, etc.? And yeah, do you see a lot of geopolitical risks? Are we currently in a kind of geopolitics AI superintelligence race?
So it's interesting. With previous US administration, we had some rules set in place. You cannot sell certain things to certain countries. You cannot train models beyond certain size. And it was mostly security fiat, right? It didn't make a difference. You can always find loopholes around those regulations. With current administration, we said, we don't even need the safety fiat, or we just, whatever, we'll put as much money as we can to get there first. And that's the plan right now. And then you ask about, well, what about the control, safety? The answer is usually, we'll figure it out when we get there, or AI will help us control AI, or something like that. So it's not very encouraging.
So practically, what should we do right now in the current landscape of AI? All the money being spent, what can we do to save ourselves?
It really depends on your position in the world, but if you are in charge of something, do not build general superintelligence. It's very important. We can get most of the benefits, financial, scientific, from narrow systems, very intelligent, superintelligent tools capable of solving specific problems, protein folding, cancers, immortality. We can get all the things we want without replacing ourselves.
Do you think people are going to listen to that?
No, of course not.
Okay, and given that they're not going to listen though, then what do we do?
Enjoy whatever years we have left. Live the best life you can. It's a great advice, and if I'm wrong and you have a lot more time, you lived a great life, no regrets.
Okay, how, kind of more personally maybe, how's your work on AI kind of influenced your life? What do you see for the future of your life? How do you understand yourself as a person? Do you see yourself as kind of a complicated machine, or are you a person with a soul? Like, how has your work kind of affected you personally?
Seeing those models become more capable than me in so many things does kind of make you feel, am I just a large language model? Am I just an autocomplete on somebody's smartphone? It is discouraging in some ways, but it also allows you to be more productive. I always had this dream of, if I have an idea for a paper, I want to press a button and print the paper out. And now it's kind of like that. I can just tell the system, this is the abstract, generate the paper. And it happens, and it's magical, and it's wonderful.
Is the paper as good as you could write though? Because AI kind of churns something out currently, but it's not what you would write. It's not actually what you would write. And getting the gap between what you would mentally write and then getting the AI to know that and put it into the world, that gap still feels quite big to me.
The gap was huge. At GPT-2 it was infinite. GPT-3 it started to shrink. The latest models, I would say it's like 20% in quality between what I would generate after a year and what the model can generate almost immediately. But interestingly, then it makes mistakes in understanding what I had in mind. Those mutations are actually beneficial. A lot of times it comes up with things I go, it's actually not bad. I can integrate that as well. So in a way, it's kind of a collaborator who has somewhat independent inputs.
Okay. What do the next 5 years of the AI space look like, and the hacking space?
That's a great question. So prediction models are saying we're about 2 years away from human level. It's also what the heads of all the AI labs are saying. So I don't know if we have 5 years of this completely unchanged space. Once you hit human level, everything just accelerates a lot. It's already hard to keep up with latest publications in my area. I used to read all the papers on AI safety. Then I would read all the good ones. Then it was, just the abstracts, then just the titles. Now I don't read any of them. I cannot keep up with it. So I think as a percentage of knowledge in my field, I get dumber and less knowledgeable every day, which is very discouraging. But it's going to happen on a global scale. You just have less and less understanding of what is out there, what is possible, how the latest models work.
Wonderful. Roman Yampolskiy, wonderful to meet you, and thank you for the interview.
Thanks so much for inviting me.